Good evening, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us this evening for our ECC workshop, Liaising Effectively with Your School Leadership Team. I am Camille Cassaretti, and I am here with the ECC President, Naquan McLean. Naquan, please introduce yourself.
Thank you, Camille. Naquan McLean, I am the president of the Education Council Consortium. I'm glad that you all are here with us tonight. We do have a robust education learning experience for you tonight where we're going to go over some great ways to effectively liaison with your school leadership team. Just a little bit about myself. I have been on CEC 16 since 2014. I'm currently the CEC 16 president and have served for a number of years in different capacities within District 16, such as the President's Council and on their Title I DPAC.
Okay, thank you so much, Naquan. And I am Camille Cassaretti. I am currently serving as the chair of the Education Policy Committee for the Education Council Consortium. I am starting my 12th year of parent leadership, and I was born and live in Brooklyn. I've held titles from PTA president, SLT member in elementary, middle, and high school. These roles have helped me to understand the many issues that schools face and to understand how the state law can dictate much of what we see in the classroom. I was the president of the District 15 CEC for 6 years and on that council for 8. I've also held the seat as the public advocate appointee to the Citywide Council on High Schools, and I am currently seated on the panel for education policy as the Brooklyn Borough President appointee. For both Naquan and myself, doing these workshops is a way for us to pay it forward and help to build succession for our next generation of parent leaders. So I just want to welcome you all and thank you for taking the time tonight to share this information with each other, with your councils, and just keep learning. I am going to drop my contact information and Naquan's contact information in the chat, along with a copy of this presentation, because I know sometimes people like to follow along on a bigger screen if you're able to. So let me just find this chat for 1 minute. And I'm sorry for this black blob in your screen. Okay, here we go. Okay, great. So I want to thank Shino for being our tech support tonight. And we all have our little jobs here behind the scenes, so please bear with us if we have some tech issues. But I'm just going to jump to the next slide, which is not jumping. Okay, here we go. Okay, so we have a really dense schedule for this evening, a lot of slides, a lot of information. And if you have a question while either of us is speaking, just feel free to put it in the chat. If you have like a clarifying question, Shino is going to try to answer questions as we're going, but if it's a little bit more in the weeds, then we're going to stop every few slides and just try to answer the questions as we go and take questions. So we're going to start out discussing what the role of the council is, why CECs liaise specifically with SLTs, building productive relationships between your council and your school leadership teams, the prep work that CEC members need to do in advance of meeting with schools. We are going to talk about the iPlan portal and the comprehensive education plan. We are going to walk you through setting up a school visit. And when you get to the SLT, meeting with the SLT, we're going to talk about the DOE's school visit report form, which you may have already received or seen in the member guidebook. And then we're going to talk about what to do after the SLT visit. Okay. So, you all should have received this CCEC member guidebook, and we're going to share this slideshow after by email, so you'll have all of the links that are here as well. But as you know, our education councils are born through the state law and New York City school governance, which replaced school boards. So I think we're now in year 22 that CECs have been in existence, but prior to that, New York City schools were run just like all of the other counties and districts in the nation, separate school boards. And as I was saying, the CECs were formed out of the New York State education law. Definitely, if you have not taken a look at this link, you should go in there. There's a lot of things to read about, but it's not that complicated to read the law. And as you spend more and more time doing this work, it'll become easier for you to understand exactly what they're talking about within the law, and then you can use that to your advantage. So, as a CEC member, you're meant to advocate on behalf of the district schools regarding education issues that impact the district. And so these are things that you're going to talk about in your council meetings, hopefully outside of your council meetings, as you're talking to elected officials, and just general advocacy for your schools. Consult and communicate with parents and with the constituent SLTs, PAs, PTAs, president's councils, and Title I chairs. And so as your year is progressing, you're going to be meeting more and more and more parent leaders, and definitely try to build relationships with them and stay in regular contact. We're going to maximize local opportunities for parent involvement and feedback, meaning invite them to your meetings, let them know when the public comment periods are, share the emails that they're going to need to send feedback and comments to you. If your council has social media, make sure that all of your constituents know about these social media feeds so that the information is flowing backwards and back and forth. And then, of course, the CEC president or their designee will serve on the district leadership team, which is very important team that talks about the overarching education plans for the entire district. Naquan, did you want to say anything?
No, I think the only thing I would add is that it's very important that you build your relationship with your PA and your Title I reps locally in your schools. And then for your district-based partnerships, it will be your President's Council and your DPACs. Those are the structures. And we'll be doing a presentation on the DOE parent structures later on this year. But you can go to the next slide.
Okay.
Why
So
is,
when you're, sorry,
go ahead.
what?
No, go ahead.
Did I skip something?
No, go ahead.
Okay. So when you're visiting schools, you're there to make a connection and build relationships. At the SLT meeting, you're trying to get a better understanding of the challenges that the schools might be facing. You want to be able to elevate those concerns and get the school support as quickly as possible. So recently I went to a high school. I did a school walkthrough with them. They were telling me about how they had been promised a new gym for the last 3 years and that the money was there and there were these delays and they had no idea what was going on. So I went to facilities, I went to school construction authority, and it was supposed to be done this summer, but it didn't happen because they had to have an asbestos report. But they finally got it, and the demo is starting any day now, and they will have their new gym before the beginning of this next year. So, that feels like a long window. It's probably like 5 months start to finish, but note that they had been waiting a number of years, and who knows what was going on there and why this had been delayed. But as soon as you like start lighting a fire, uh, things you'll see things are moving, and your schools are really going to appreciate that advocacy. Like in the next 2 months, CEC's reps will be looking at building facilities so that they can identify conditions that need repair or replacement. Elevating any wants that the school may have, for example, a yoga room or a STEM lab, or maybe windows or air conditioning isn't working, or maybe they need better bandwidth or more electrical outlets. But the bottom line is all of these ideas are possible within limits. And when I say within limits, I mean actual physical construction limits, not necessarily money limits, because there are ways to get this money. But we're going to be reviewing that in an upcoming workshop on capital plan school visits. And don't forget that when you are doing these facility walkthroughs and you're starting to see very, very big dollar amount projects, like you need to go to your elected officials and let them know, because a lot of that money comes from the elected officials. Okay. Naquan, you want to take this one?
Yeah. So building a relationship with your SLT is very important. One of the reasons that you're there is to advocate for your schools. And the way to advocate for your schools is to know about your schools, to know what their needs are, to have a intimate relationship with them. So once you start your you do your first visit, then you're going and you speak to your PTA, you speak to your pack, you'll begin to build that rapport with them that they will invite you to your PTA meetings. They will invite you to, their probably a pack meeting, right? So that you can get to know their school community, so that when you are in position or you're at a CC meeting and different things are coming up, you can speak to the needs of your particular school. Every CEC member will be assigned a school or several schools, depending on how big or small your district is. One of the requirements in the book, in the manual, is that you cannot be assigned to the school that your child attends. And that's because it's a conflict of interest. So, you begin to build your relationships, you will gain knowledge so that you could really be a part of that community. Although you're not in that community every day, you want to be a part of that community by understanding the needs of that community.
Let's just stop here and ask if anybody has any questions. Feel free to raise your hand, drop it in the chat. And I'm going to rely on Naquan and Shino to say whether there are any questions.
Nothing
So
in the chat.
nothing in the chat. So I want to also uplift, we have this slide and we have the different parts. So, the panel for education policy, for those of you who don't know it, it is the actual school board for the city of New York. They meet once a month. Sometimes it's twice a month, depending on what's on the agenda. And that's so when I look at it, or I say it in my brain, right? So I have the CECs are like the local school boards, like they are dealing with the local day-to-day stuff. And then the PEP is like your big brother. That's who really makes the final decisions. They vote on the contracts, they vote on this mergers, the recitings. CECs main priority is zoning, so we vote on zoning. But it still have to go to the PEP for the other approvals that we need. So building relationships with your PEP members is very important. And each borough has two members. It has a member that is appointed by the borough president, and then there has a member that is the parent rep that is appointed or elected by the CEC presidents for that borough. So Camille actually in her other capacity serve as the member that is appointed by the borough president, and Faraji Hannah Jones is the member that is appointed by the CEC presidents. So it's very important to know those folks too, because they can help escalate situations and they can help escalate things as well. The last thing I would say is really building a line of communication with your superintendent. That is really important. The DLT is the body that's supposed to help when there are situations at SLT meetings or on SLTs or at SLTs. So building that relationship with your superintendent, understanding your district priorities, understanding school priorities, because the school priorities should be rolled into the district priorities. And that's how we come up with our DCEP. So want to just and then ask, do we have any questions so far? If you don't have a question in the chat, you can raise your hand as well. That means I did good. Next slide, Camille.
All right, great. Okay, so CEC prep work. This is always my favorite part because it could basically be done anytime at your leisure, day or night, 2 a.m. if you're up at that time, the way some of us are. Basically, everything that you're going to be looking at is public information. So if you can find it online, that means other people can find it online too. So like as you're finding things online, share it with your council, because sometimes people don't even realize that this data and information exists. And the more that you can share out, like even share it with your CEC newsletter, that is really great, because knowledge is power, right? And so the more information that is out there for people to look at and understand, the better. So the most basic and simple high-level information lives on the DOE website, and each school has a web page. So when you, okay, let me see. Naquan, did you want to do
Yep.
this?
Yep.
Naquan is going to do a demonstration, but let me just get through the slide and then we'll kind of like go back to do, okay. So the DOE Schools webpage is full of information. There's the comprehensive education plans for each school that live on the iPlan portal. You have your school budget information, lots and lots of financial documents and information that you can look at and compare. And you want to make sure you're reaching out to your parent leaders and your school staff, either before or after your visit, actually. So the high level people that you want to make sure you're maintaining relationships with are your PA and PTA leaders, your Title I Parent Advisory Committee chairs, the principal of your school, obviously, and the parent coordinator. Those are really great relationships to build and maintain.
Yep. And
So, yeah.
And as I said earlier, like building those relationships will not only help you in your relationship building, but it will help you be able to advocate for your schools, right? Speaking to your PTA president privately, not in the SLT meeting, will give you a different perspective. Some things they may be comfortable with saying when the principal is not around or parent coordinator is not around, right? Meeting with your Title One PAC chair if you're a Title One school, there may be things or concerns that they may have that they will uplift for you to assist with them with, right? Because one of the main responsibilities of the CC is to help with education priorities for the district. We are the policy helpers in the district. We help create policy, and make recommendations to the superintendent and to the chancellor. So you may, go to a school that they have something that's really going well with their Title I, and they have lifted up with their DPAC, and it seemed like it hasn't gone anywhere, lifting it up with the CC, and then the CC and the DPAC working together. And the DPAC is the District Parent Advisory Council working together will push the superintendent to do some of the things that parents are pushing for. So that's just examples of how working with, your counterparts in the parent leader structure is helpful.
Okay, so Naquan is going to start sharing his screen, but what we're going to do is start here on the DOE website. Tell me when you want me to stop, and you're going to take over. Did
Give
you
me
want to
one.
start here
Yep,
or
yep, yep.
keep going?
No,
Okay.
give me 1 minute. I'm trying to get there now.
And this is probably going to be a silly question, but has everybody had a chance to go onto the DOE website and explore a little bit? Give me a thumbs up if you have, please. Or a thumbs down if you haven't. Okay, I see some thumbs up. I see more thumbs up. That's good news. All right, more thumbs up. Okay, great. So I will stop sharing. Stop sharing. Okay.
So, could y'all see my screen? Yep.
Yes.
Find your school. So you go here. We're going to just use District 16 because it's my district and I love it. And we're going to pull up middle school 35. So you type in your school, you do the search, it's going to come up. This website is really important because a lot of the information that you want to find out about a school or particular district, it can be found here. So if your school have a website, normally when you click this, I don't want to click it and then take it somewhere else, but normally when you click it, it will take you to if your school has its own website, right? And then what we want to focus on today is the information that you can find here. So here you can find the school information, the principal, the parent coordinator, the respect for all coordinator, the harassment coordinator, um, the number of students that sometimes is in the building, sometimes is there. Here on this page will show you your district leadership. So it has the superintendent information. It has the family support coordinators information, and it has the CC information. The telephone number should be there. I'm not sure why it's not there. But the area that we want to focus on today is the reports and the financial report. So after,
Naquan, do you mind if I
yes,
just jump in half a second?
yes,
I'm so
yes,
sorry.
sure. Go ahead.
I just wanted to go back
Yep. Tell me where.
to the overview
Yep.
page because what happens more often than should is that things are missing. Like Naquan was saying, oh, why isn't the phone number here? Sometimes you'll go to the page and you'll see that it's the old principal. Maybe there was like an interim acting, maybe that person already took the place and the old principal's name is still on there. And this information needs to be changed by DIIT on the back end, but the principal has to put in the request. And I'm not sure that all the principals know that. So if you see something that is actually wrong on these pages, tell your principal that they just only need to send that information to DIIT and they'll fix it pretty quickly, like within a couple of days. That's it. Sorry.
No worries. So reports. So we go to reports. If you come to, it's a shameless plug. If you come to our presentation that we're going to have on the 15th, where we go around capital planning. You'll see some more reports, but today we want to focus on financial report. And the financial report that we want to focus on is the budget at a glance. At every SLT meeting, they should be looking at the budget. The budget should be readily available for the SLT members, right? Um, we've had situations where you've shown up at an SLT meeting and principals don't have the budget and they're like, oh, well, you can go online and get the budget. No, the budget should be at the meeting. But if the budget is not at the meeting, this is where you can find the budget. So on the budget, it gives a glance of the financials for that school. It gives a glance of the enrollment for that school, how much you're getting per pupil for that school. And then like it breaks this down, giving you like the glossary, right? One of the things I do in my district as a best practice is at the beginning of the school year, once all of my members receive their assignments, I create a folder. It used to be a binder, but since we've been doing everything electronically, a folder that will have all their schools, the CEP for their school, and then the budget as a glance. I just do all of the, well, our treasurer put all of the budgets of a glance for our whole district in a folder, and we share it with the council so that folks have it, so that they can take a look at it. But just for you to, for your awareness, this is what it looks like, and that's how to get to it. The other thing that I would like to highlight is the budget, the Galaxy. This is the one that like shows like the teachers and the, you know, the small class size stuff, the reductions, Title One, like it gives you a different breakdown. But I would encourage you to like take your time and go through your school budget so that you can understand not only the school that you are the liaison for, but your child's school. You should go through that budget as well so that you can actually see what funding is coming into the school. So we're going to stop here. Do we have any questions on what we've presented so far? Camille, so I'm going to stop sharing and you can go back to the slides. And when you receive the slides, we give you like screenshots of it so that you can see how to get to the pages.
I'm muted. So, also on the report page, you probably saw that the comprehensive education plan is there. Now, you can easily access your CEPs on each of the school web pages, but there's another way where you can access all of the CEPs in the entire New York City all in one easy location, which is the iPlan portal. So the review of the comprehensive education plan highlights the SLT priorities for the education at each school. This is a really important document because it's not only used for coming up with the strategies for educating our children, it's also used for budgeting as well as for compliance with the state. Um, so if you want to look at the CEP on the DOE website, you're going to go to the reports and then scroll down a little bit, and it's there. You have to download it. So now, Naquan, did you want to do the demonstration of the iPlan portal?
Yeah, do you want me to go back and do real quick the CEP from the website first, or do you want to just go to iPlan?
Just to show?
Yeah, just so that people
Yeah,
know. Yep. So
sure.
let's go back
Okay.
to that.
Yep. Okay, I'm stopping sharing.
We just want to make sure people are aware where to find things at. And it's very important that you go through your CEP before you go to your school visit so that you can be aware of what they're supposed to be doing or what they're talking about it's good. Like, don't be scared because when you get here, you may see hundreds of pages. But take your time, review it at your own pace. You don't have to know everything. You just want to be able to know a little bit about the school before you get there. And this is one of the ways to know about your school. So did you, I move quickly. So you're going to reports again, and then you're going to comprehensive education plans. You're going to click on it. It's the 24-25 plan. You click on it, and then there's your plan. It shows your principal. It shows the DBN. It should list all the members of the SLT, their priorities and which sections it is. I'm just trying to, we're going to show you the main part that we're going to look at. I'm just trying to get to the part that shows you the members. So this is where the members of the SLT should be. And we know that there are mandatory members of the SLT and then there are members at large. So the mandatory members of the SLT is the principal, the Title One, all right, sorry, the principal, the UFT rep, the PTA president. They are in the works as the regulation is being updated right now, and the Title One rep will be a mandatory member. And then the SLT can be up to 17 people with the same, but when you're talking about the school staff and parents, it has to be an equal number. Sometimes, depending on the grade of the school, they may have students on it. If the school have CBOs, you may have CBOs on it as well. And that is Chancellor Regulation A655, which governs the SLTs. Okay, Camille, back to you.
Great. Hey, great. Thank you so much. So this is the homepage of the iPlan portal. When you come here, you're going to have this pop up right away. Welcome to your iPlan dashboard. And just right here in this lower yellow arrow, you'll see that there's a skip tour, but I would recommend that you just go through all of these couple of pages, see what it has to offer, and understand how the portal works. Up here, at the top right, it says log in. You are going to ignore that unless you are an SLT member, in which case you have a login password and you can enter the portal there. But for the general public, you do not need a login. The way this portal was designed becomes a little bit like confusing for the average person because they come on and they're like, oh, log in, I have to click. And they click and then, of course, they can't get in. So do tell everyone that you do not need a login to enter this portal. So scrolling down, you'll see that in the middle of that main page, there are going to be these drop downs, and one of them is for the school, one of them is for a district. And you don't have to do both at the same time. You can do one and one. You can do both, but you're going to click on that little arrow, and all of the schools are going to show up in number order. So if you know the number of your school, usually it's the district number, the letter of your borough. So K is Brooklyn for Kings County. And then the number of the school, and it's always going to be 3 numbers. So if you are in District 15 and your child goes to PS1, or you want to look at the PS1 CEP, you're going to do 15K001. And same thing with the districts. You click the down button and it'll show all of the districts. And I'm going to hand it over to Naquan so that he can show you for real what this looks like. And stop sharing.
While I'm doing that, Camille, there's a question in the chat that I think you should answer around principals and SLT.
Okay, great. The principal can choose the SLT Chair, what? I'm sorry. Ricardo, do you want to come off mute and just ask your question?
But I'm speaking Spanish. Somebody can
That's okay.
translate for me?
Yeah.
Sí.
No, I mean, I think go ahead.
Sí, sí
Nancy,
puedo.
can you help me out
Sí,
if
sí,
I need
está
help?
bien.
Yeah.
Ujú.
Ok. Mi pregunta es, ¿la principal puede elegir a las personas que van a estar en el SLT o tienen que ser por elecciones? Por lo que yo tengo entendido, los padres en la elección del PA se hacen las elecciones también para el SLT, pero la principal, si no se hacen ahí, la principal tiene el poder de poner a las personas ahí.
Okay, she wants to know if SLT members are chosen by election or by the principal.
So the SLT members are chosen by the parents of the school. There's the parent SLT members, there are teacher SLT members, and there's a D37 SLT member. And each of those members are chosen by their constituents. The principal does not choose the members. The principal does not choose the chair either. The chair is decided on through a consensus. It's not an election. Basically, after all the members have gone through the election process and are chosen they're basically elected to the SLT. At that point, they come together and have a conversation about who is interested in being the chair. And so, in an ideal world, maybe it's somebody who has already been on the SLT. And so they're in their second year of being on the SLT, so they understand a little bit more about it. Or maybe somebody who has been on an SLT in the past, maybe not on this particular SLT. But the principal is not supposed to be making those decisions. The group is supposed to
¿Entendiste?
make
Oh,
it. Yeah, sorry.
perdona, ¿entendiste o necesitas que te traduzca?
No, yo lo entendí. Yo entiendo inglés, pero no lo hablo
Está
correctamente.
bien. Está
Entonces,
bien.
pero sí, entendí. Y gracias, porque sí, mi principal estaba asignando a personas. Por lo regular, nosotros aquí en el Bronx hacemos elecciones para llenar los SLT.
¿El principal
Entonces,
está escogiendo las personas para estar los padres?
sí, bueno, se hicieron elecciones. Como le digo, hacemos elecciones aquí en el Bronx para llenar esas sillas. Pero había quedado 2 sillas libres. Entonces ella fue quien me escogió a los padres quienes se sentaran ahí. Entonces, yo
No, siempre,
soy,
sí, siempre tiene que ser voto, siempre.
ok, perfecto. Sí,
Y
porque sí,
si hay posiciones abiertas, sorry, she was saying that there were some positions that were not filled, and those positions were then filled by the principal. And I explained that is not how it's done. It still has to be held open, and there's a vote. So, tienen que esperar eso, y cada vez que tienen los meetings del PTA, tienen que anunciar que van a estar votando, y entonces siempre es votando. Nunca es el principal.
ok.
Nicole,
So what's the recourse in that
yeah, so
situation?
yeah, Nancy, if they want to give us the information offline, we can elevate it. But we know this happens, right? We know this happens, and this is one of. So let me say this. The CEC is not going in there to be the police of the SLTs, right? But if you see things, and that's why you need to know and learn these things, right? If you see things that are inappropriate, that's not supposed to happen, you need to elevate that to your superintendent and to your FLC, right? Like there's no rule that the principal has to be the chair of the SLT, right? We've seen that there's no rule that say they can't, but there's no rule that say they have to be, right? So I think it's about the understanding that we have and coming together to know what's supposed to happen on these SLTs. And that's one of the reasons we're really doing this workshop tonight, so that you would know how to liaison with them, but also know what's supposed to happen. So if you can privately chat the Education Council Consortium, that school, we won't say where it came from. We just will elevate it to the central level or the super. I would just go to central personally, with what the issue is, so that they can look in there. I do know that the chancellor and deputy chancellor of leadership will be visiting SLTs this year. So that may be a SLT that they need to go and take a look at.
¿Entendiste?
So let's go. So
Sí, gracias.
sorry.
Ok, so le mandas un mensaje privado y ellos no van a decir que tú eres el quien lo dijiste. El nombre de la escuela para que ellos
Ok.
puedan investigar. ¿Sí?
Ok, sí, muchas gracias.
De nada.
Okay, we have another question about SLTs in the chat, and
Oh.
I want to be mindful of what our topic is here. So if you have very specific questions about your SLTs, that is something that your family leadership coordinator is supposed to be helping you with. They do trainings and they offer guidance. So that person works at the superintendent's office. Sherry is laughing at me. Okay.
So
Um,
we can have another conversation about SLTs and effectiveness of SLTs. That's not the one for tonight, but we don't want to not if you have a situation for SLT, put it once again in the private chat to the Education Council. We will follow up with you. One, because this is being recorded, and we don't want to put people out there. And I'm not talking about the schools. I'm talking about you as a parent. But we can help resolve some of these issues.
yeah, definitely.
So I'm going to use the school that we use on the paper, which is 16K035, which is the Stephen Decatur School. And then you put the district, but if you see it just popped up here, the district. So we see the district, and then we're not going to, I think we had to download it. We open it up. It's the same document, but it's just an easier way to get it. And then you can get for any school within the system, all 1,600 schools. All you need to know is that school number, and you will get it. And then if you want the district, you can click on and get the district plan as well. What I will say around, access, you should be, if you're on the DLT, you should be speaking to your superintendent to get access to this iPortal plan. If you are on the SLT, you should be speaking to your principal. The other thing that you should know about this is that the document, so each month there should be agenda, there should be a sign-in sheet that it's kept. Those documents are supposed to be uploaded to the iPortal. So the iPortal not only have your documents for like your CEP, but it's also accountability tool because it's supposed to have those documents for the meetings that supposedly that they had in the iPortal. So it's more things in there as well. You can't see them, but they're there. Camille, I'm going to turn it back over to you.
Okay, I'm just going to go back to the screen share again. Okay, great. So another thing about the CEP is that when you open up the CEP, the table of contents, you can actually click on the section and it will bring you automatically to that page. So it's really easy to work with. I am just going to pretend click on section 7, which is the parent and family engagement policy and school parent compact. And this is a really interesting section that I would say everybody should read because it's how the school is going to be interacting with families. And so you definitely want to make sure that you're understanding how your schools compare to one another and how They are engaging with their parent communities. It's really quite unbelievable. Like you can have an open door policy at one school and have a completely closed door policy at another. And I think it makes a difference in the academic success of the schools, you know? But that's your decision, and you are here to compare and contrast the schools in your district and see what's working and what's not working, and make sure that your superintendent is involved in those conversations, because ultimately the superintendent is responsible for the academic success of the district. And yeah.
Yep, and to Camille's point, like this is one of the areas that I will tell you to focus on when you are reviewing the CEPs for the schools that you are assigned to, right? You want to look at everything, but if once you open it, it seems daunting because it's a lot of pages. I will focus on the goals of the school, right? Like what they say their goals are, and then what the family engagement policy is, because that is really where you look at that, and then as you are having conversations with the PA president or the Title I chair, you can see things aligning, right? You should be able to see things aligning, right? And then when you do all of this pre-work, it just makes you more informed when you get to the table, right? So if they're having a conversation, or they're working on this part, you can, even if you're not participating, you can be informed, like, oh, okay, I did read that. Okay, they're sharing their goals, or they're sharing a highlight of something that they've done. It's really good to be informed. Next slide.
Yeah. Okay, so this is all the way at the bottom of the iPlan portal. So it's just this singular page with a lot of information there. And definitely, if you, besides being on a CEC, if you also happen to be on a PTA or an SLT at your school, definitely look at these resources, because there's a lot of information there and it's all excellent. Excellent guidance in these resource pages. Share
So
them with your families.
So Nancy asked the question, CC members are silent participants at the SLT meeting. Yes and no. So we're going to get into that a little bit later, right? But if you're there as or CC SLTs are subject to open meetings law, right? So it is a public meeting. So you are there as an observer when you're just there. But when you're there on your school visit, you are a participant, right? That's why you send an email. That's why you let them know that you're coming, so that you can fully participate in whatever that conversation is for that month. Now, I do have members of my council that go to the SLT meetings every month. Every month they're not a full participant, right? Every month they're not there. They're there in their capacity as a CEC liaison, but they're not expected to participate every month. So it really depends on the relationship that you build with your school, right? They may add you as a member at large, right? Because you're there so much. It really depends. That's why I say it's about building that relationship. It's about understanding that you're not the SLT police, but you're really there to support them and to lift their school needs up on a district level.
Okay, great. So now, after you did your research and you kind of have a sense of what each of your schools is about, then you're going to go to your AA and tell them that you're ready to set up a meeting, that you want to attend the SLT at whichever of the schools. And so the AA will contact the school principal. They will give you the SLT meeting dates, which, by the way, are public record and should be posted on the school's website, ideally, but a lot of schools don't do this. And so, if you went to the school's website already and you know what the SLT meeting dates are, just give them to your AA. Give her the link to the page, or him, and sorry, and then they will contact the principal to schedule your attendance at the SLT meeting. And the idea of why you would want to actually schedule your attendance at the SLT meeting, especially the first time that you go, is to not just show up and say, oh, hey, I'm Camille from CEC 15, I'm your rep. But, you know, you want to kind of like do it professionally, make sure that you're getting in touch with them and making an appointment so that they know to welcome you and that they tell their SLT members, oh, hey, this is really exciting. We have our CEC rep coming today. And so hopefully they'll give you a few minutes on the agenda to introduce yourself and definitely tell them when your upcoming meetings are. And well, we'll get into that a little bit later. But
yeah, let me just add, that is the main reason of scheduling your meeting, right? You don't want to just be there as an observer. You want to be a participant. So the way to be a participant is to write them in advance to let them know that you want to like to come and that you would like to make an announcement or speak, right? Also, too, I think Nancy put something in the chat about what if it's not posted. Then you should be you should have your president speak to the FLC, which is the Family Leadership Coordinator, because the Family Leadership Coordinator is actually the person that's supposed to provide support to SLTs. So so in District 16, what we do is our FLC collects all of the dates for us, and she puts it in a drive, and then she shares it with us. So then we have all of the dates for all of the schools, and then we share it with the members, like, these are your dates. What dates could you go? What date works for you, right? And then if we have some cases where we have members that, particular, they can't go to this school because that SLT date is on the day that they'll never make it, they can work with we have buddy systems where they buddy can go and do that SLT visit, but then they still reach out to their schools and introduce themselves. So it's different ways by different districts, it's best practices, but and I keep on repeating this, we're not the SLT police, so you should not just pop up at an SLT meeting, especially when you want to speak. Go ahead, Camille.
yeah. Okay. So when you finally do arrive at the building, the day you arrive at the building, the night you arrive, as you know, all of the school buildings are locked now. So when you arrive, you're going to ring the bell, tell the safety agent that you're there to attend the SLT meeting. Be nice, smile, the same way you want to have a welcoming environment in your school, you want to be welcoming too, right? Your DOE IDs, I don't know if all of you have them yet, but they should only be used when you're on official CEC business. Don't go into your own kid's school and say, hey, let me in, I'm a CEC member. That's going to be really bad. So once you're in the building, so obviously the safety agent is going to sign you in, you're going to show your ID. They're going to say maybe the SLT meeting is being held on the second floor in room 207. And so you're going to go and walk through the halls. And while you're walking through the halls, like, look around, make sure, you're looking at what the bulletin boards look like. How welcoming is that space? Like, what does the student work look like? Because usually there's a lot of work posted on the walls. And just, keep those mental notes, because you're going to want to, that's going to be reflected in your notes of your school visits. So now, once you're there at the table, the SLT meeting, if I feel like I want to say many of you probably have attended at least one SLT meeting in any capacity as either a parent or an SLT member or PTA member, or maybe even already a CEC member. But maybe I'm wrong. Is there anybody here on this call who has never attended an SLT meeting? I just want to kind of get a sense of what, who's in the room. So if you have not attended an SLT meeting, give me a thumbs down. I'm seeing no thumbs. Okay. Okay. So generally speaking, I guess you all know that during these SLT meetings, the SLT meetings are not supposed to be run like a PTA meeting. It's not supposed to be like a report of, oh, we're doing this fundraiser on Friday and we have the book fair coming and like ramble off all the dates of the events at the school. That is not what your SLT meeting is supposed to look like. Like you are literally supposed to be talking about the goals on that comprehensive education plan. So you're going to be looking at your student subgroups, your multilingual learners, your students with disabilities, your students in temporary housing, your free and reduced lunch populations, and all of the other issues that you might be having at the school. Maybe you just had a new influx of students that speak language that nobody in your previous population spoke. And now your SLT is going to talk about how do we ensure that these newcomer students are going to be supported and their families are going to be able to be very engaged. And so you want to make sure your documents are translated and interpreted. Like these are the kind of things that you want to be talking about at the SLT meetings. Go ahead.
And we go back to, right, that's why at the beginning of the presentation, I showed you how to get to the budget. Because we should be talking about the budget. We should be talking about enrollment. We should be talking about after school. These are the kind of conversations that should be happening at the SLT meeting. Another thing that happens is the Division of School Leadership puts out this like guide that they give to school leadership teams that shows like in April, in March, in May, these are the type of discussions that you should be having. So they even have a framework, right, of what should be being discussed at an SLT meeting, right? Once again, you're going there, you're observing, because at the end of the day, what is supposed to happen is after you visit that SLT, you're supposed to then come back and then at your CC meeting, there's supposed to be a time where you are debriefing about, what you learned at the school, what you gained and the knowledge that you gained so that you can best advocate. Because remember, your purpose of going there is so that you can advocate on that school behalf on a district level.
Yeah. And I just want to elevate that this happens in the 32 community education council districts. It does not necessarily happen in the citywide councils. So I know we have some citywide council members here, and thank you for being here. Happy to see you. Honestly, I think if you are doing school visits, you should be talking about it at your meeting. I would just, make sure that when you have your member reports or things that members should share later in your calendar meeting, that you share that information. Like, oh, I went to this high school and found out that they just had a new track built and it looks amazing. And they want to start a running program. And so let's figure out how to support them, something like that. So now, because you have expense reimbursements, if you have to travel to get to your SLT meeting, maybe you need to take Uber or something because you have to pick up your kid at 3 and the SLT meetings at 3:30 and you can't really get across the district. So, you can take car service there and get reimbursed for that. But you do need to have the proof that you were there. So that proof can come in the form of the SLT agenda, especially if your name's on it, copy of the sign-in sheet, or an email confirmation. Maybe you sent a thank you note to the principal afterwards, or they wrote to you saying thanks for coming. So there's just that evidence that you were there at the meeting.
And Kelly's from my council. She put in the chat. Absolutely. I know she answered it. Yes. So this would be what goes on your RPR form, right? This is what will go on there, this school visit. We're going to talk, I think, a little bit later about the RPR forms and what I think we are. If not, we can talk a little bit about it. But this is one of the reasons. So when you have this attendance sheet, like all of that stuff reflects because that is something that you're doing on behalf of the council. And that's why it's important that we make those you have that agenda, especially if you're trying to get reimbursed for it. It's important to have that.
Okay, so when you're at the meeting, and they do the introductions of everybody, and they say, "Welcome, Naquan. Tell us about yourself." So, you could share your contact information with people. Tell them why you ran for the CEC, what issues are important to you, and talk about your CEC as well. What issues are important to your council as a council? Sometimes, like, you might have come in very specifically for special ed advocacy, but then of course now you're here and you're like for going to be advocating for all of the children. That doesn't negate the reasons that you got on in the first place, right? And so talk about your council priorities. Maybe your council priorities are really about how are we going to focus on like these desegregation efforts, or and then make sure you tell everybody when your council meetings are, where they're meeting. Some of you meet in the same district office every month, but then others move from school to school. So make sure that you go in, do with some hard copy information that you can share, flyers. Tell them how their school community can share feedback with the CEC. Give them your CEC email address. Now we all kind of know it's like CEC1 at schools, CEC10 at schools, but the general parents like don't know these things. So even what may seem very simple, just try to give as much information as you can. And some of the CECs make business cards right away. The AAs can create them for you if you want a business card, or you can use your phone and do that phone sharing thing. So set up your contact information in your phone if you haven't already, and try to share it with the SLT members. Okay, so Naquan, you want to talk about this? You're muted.
I'm having a whole conversation. One of the things that Camille said at the beginning of the call, when we talked about the school visits, is you can request ID from your face liaison for the particular visit, but that ID should only be used when you're on CEC official business. If you go into your child's school and you happen to leave your ID at home, you should not use your CEC ID. Your CEC ID is only for when you're on CEC official business. And we've seen people, use that ID, abuse their ID. And you don't want no one calling you don't want to be under investigation for something as simple as using your ID when it's not supposed to, right? So school visit reporting. You can actually liaison for the reporting form, or you can print out one from the guide, like out the manual guide that you receive electronically. You can print it. And that form help you organize your thoughts. So what I do in 16 is we actually take the same form that FACE gives us, and we just make it to us. Like we critique it to District 16, because some of the questions that's on the one, we reviewed it last night again as we were putting this presentation together, and it still has like quality reviews. They don't do quality reviews at this time, but the form still have quality review on it, right? So you make the form unique to you and to your district. But let me be clear, you're not going in there with the form and you're sitting there writing like you're evaluating them. That's not what you're doing, because you don't want them to be uncomfortable. You don't want to make yourself uncomfortable. So the form is really for you to gather your thoughts. So sometimes you have a book, or you have the form maybe in a book, so and you're just taking notes, right? And we're gonna get to the form so you can see like what the questions are. I knew that we had IPRs on here, Camille. I wasn't crazy. IPRs, which is a state requirement. It is a state requirement that you submit what you have done as a council member for that month. And it's only what you've done on behalf of the council, not, oh, I went to this meeting at the church or I went to this. Like, if it's not in your official capacity as a member of the CC and the rest of your members know about it, because it's your official capacity, you don't put it on your RPR form. What's supposed to happen with your RPR forms? Your RPR forms is now supposed to go to the panel for education policy. So after your AA completes the form, they send it to FACE, and then FACE is supposed to compile that form and send that form to the PEP. And it actually supposed to go to the PEP before that PEP meeting for the month. So technically on October the 1st, we should be doing the form for September, and it should be going to FACE no later than like that Friday so that they can get it to the PEP. And there's a timeline that I'm just not looking at that email so that they can get it to the PEP at the appropriate time. What we do on 16 to make sure the PEP gets it is we copy the PEP on the email, the PEP email address, and I also copy my 2 reps. I copy my borough president person, and I copy my CC person so that they can have it and they know the attendance. So on the form, Camille, let's shoot to the form real quick and then we'll come back. Oh no, we don't have the RPR form. Sorry. We'll add the RPR form before we send this out so that you can get an idea. But the RPR form talks not only about it talks about, did you attend that CEC meeting for that month? Did you attend, was there any votes for that month? Did you do any school visits for that month? So that form details like all of your response, like whatever you did for that month. It's very important, and it helps you with your reimbursement, right? Because all you need to do is have that form completed, and then your AA knows what you've done and can help you with your reimbursement. While you're doing that, I'm going to check in here and see. Okay, that's just someone thanking us. If you can go to the form, I know you're looking for the RPR form, aren't you? I think we decided
I did find it.
you pull it up. We decided not to put it because it had things on it that is not relevant anymore, and we didn't want to conflict it because the way this form is set up, it has stuff for the school visit. I mean, the capital plan walkthrough on it. So one of the things that we noticed that the DOE does is they conflict the two. And we want it to be very distinct. That's why we're having 2 separate meetings. We're having the school liaison meeting with the SLT, and then on the 15th, we're having the capital plan visit because they're actually 2 different things. But this one form, it has like both. Like it talks about, did they have a gym? Do they have a computer lab? Like those are good things to know, but then it asks about like the conditions of it. You're not really going to be in there. You're going to be literally inside of wherever they have an SLT. So this form, the way I have done it in the past was I separate the questions that are considered for the capital plan and then ones for the SLT visit. Okay, so no, you passed it, Camille.
Yeah, I know. It disappeared.
Right there. So you see, so everybody goes on the same form. So each member don't get an individual form. So on this form, you're going to put the council name and the month. And then each member name goes, and then you put it in whatever that member did. So basically, did they attend the calendar meeting? Did they attend the business meeting? Did they attend any committee meetings? Was there any resolutions passed of their voting record? Did they do any school visits that month? And then any other activity and other activities, for instance, in District 16, we have committees. So one of the committees is a committee that deals with our community. So if you're on that committee that deals with the community and you go to the community board education meeting on behalf of the council, that is something that can go as an additional activity.
You also could go to a community meeting for housing rezoning.
Mm-hmm.
Like in my neighborhood in Gowanus, there's constantly these public meetings about like some new skyscraper going up, and that they have to do environmental impact studies. And so it isn't necessarily related to the school, but it's related to the neighborhood, and basically everything that's going on in the neighborhood inevitably impacts the school. So so I would add those kind of meetings as well.
But once again, you should be communicating that with your council. You should not just be out there going to meetings and doing things saying that you're doing it on behalf of the council, and the council don't know anything about it. Let's get back. We're almost done.
Laquan, could you repeat that again, what you just said?
I said you should be
It's definitely-
about communicate. You should be communicating these additional activities with your council, right? You shouldn't just be going places saying that you're representing the council and the council have no idea that you're there representing them.
Thank you.
So then
You just talked about
yeah,
this.
no, we just got to collect feedback through forms and email communications, and then discussing the needs of the district with the superintendent, right? So what we've done in the past, because we've been to some SLT meetings that we did not want to discuss in public because people will be mad with us. So what we've done is after the SLT meeting, if there were things that wasn't done right, or we felt there were some concerns, we would lift those with the superintendent. Like, hey, listen, we went to this SLT meeting, and this is what we saw, this is what we noticed, this is what but you would have to be doing it for a while to get to know what those areas. One of the things, a best practice I hope we're going to see is the first year we're doing it, is that my superintendent has assigned members of her team to every SLT. And they're going to be going to the SLT meetings as well, so she's getting back firsthand what's happening at SLT meetings. So I think these are different practices, because at the end of the day, we want to make sure that SLTs are functioning, because those are the governing bodies of schools. Next slide. And this is the form that we're referring to. Camille, could you make it a little bit? It's blurry. It's in your book, though. It's page 147, I want to say, in your handbook. And it
Sorry.
it shows you.
Yeah, 147, 148.
So it has your council that you can put your name, and then it actually like quality snapshot, New York City school survey, quality review. And then it gives you the years that you can put just to get some information about the school. Then it says play schoolyard, fair, good, fair, poor. So that's what I'm saying. Like, some of these questions are not really about your SLT visits. This will be considered when you're doing your actual walkthrough of the building to see these facilities. So that's why I would recommend that you have your AA use this for the basis, but then pull out what areas that you want and have two different forms. One for your SLT reporting, and then one for your school visits when you are doing your visit for the capital plan, which we'll talk about on October 15th. You can take this one, Camille.
Okay, so after your SLT visit, I didn't write send a thank you note, but send a thank you note, please. I think it's actually really quite important that, you just acknowledge the welcoming environment and so nice to meet everyone. Looking forward to working with you all. Maybe elevate a couple of the things that you took away from the meeting that you're going to follow up on. And ask to be added to their school newsletter. I am still getting newsletters from District 15. I'm still reading them. I really enjoy reading them and sort of seeing what everybody's up to. And definitely being on the school's newsletter is a way to understand deeply what is going on day to day in the school. You can link their calendar to yours, usually on their website, not on the DOE website, but on the school's website. Like on their calendar page, there's like a little tiny plus that is at the bottom corner of the calendar. and that will link their calendar to yours. So it'll like give you all the dates already. You don't have to go crazy looking them up. They're just going to pop up. Schedule a meeting with the principal one-on-one so that you can really get to know them better, and that like you might have a better opportunity to really get more in the weeds about what the needs of the school are and how you can really be a bigger assistance. Meet with your PTA president, meet with your Title I PAC chair, meet with your parent coordinator, really anybody at the school. Like you can meet with the safety agents. I've done that for years and years and years. Just like, you can get a lot of information from the safety agents about what is needed at the school. They could tell you about like tripping hazards at the entrance, or if they're having trouble like outside on the street, just like at drop off or dismissal. Sometimes like they even know about the bus schedules. So make sure that you go to at least 2 or 3 SLT meetings per school per year. I mean, that in my mind, that's like the absolute minimum. It would really be great if you're in regular contact with them. Get the minutes, make sure you're reading them and understand what's going on with the SLTs. Same with your PTAs. Try to go to a PTA meeting and introduce yourself there too. And then ask the SLT members and the PTA if it would be okay for you to have them receive your CEC emails and to share feedback about your CEC with their school community, so that you can have like some of the parents from those schools coming to your CEC meetings as well. And then, the same way that you can link your calendar to the school, you can have the school link the CEC calendar to their school calendar so that your CEC meetings will be posted on the school calendar, which is really amazing. And not all schools do that, but some of them do. And so it's definitely worth asking. And really important, I think, in elevating the school community's voice is not just you advocating for them, but them advocating for themselves as well. We have had just enormous success when groups of students come to meetings and share their stories about what they're experiencing in the classroom. So invite your SLTs and PTAs to share comments at your CEC meetings, whether they're verbal or written. I'm going to add students in here too, except that you're not really going to have like that direct communication with the students. So just know that you want to try to get the student voice in there too. Does anybody have any questions?
I think
the next slide is like we're almost done.
Yeah, on time.
Wait, there's a question in the
do.
chat. There's
Yep,
a question in the chat.
I'm going in there from Wanda, right? So
Yeah.
I think is this around, just to be clear, this is not around school visits. Is this around when you're going for your capital, when you're submitting for the capital plan?
Well, hello, Miss Camille, and hello, Mr. Naquan. Love you too, Camille. So, hi. Oh my goodness. You give me 2 minutes. Can I have that?
Yeah,
Yes.
take it.
Thank you. So, I'm the District 75 representative in CEC 8.
Mm-hmm.
And I represent my CEC has 7 schools, 7 District 75 program within School District 8 that have 37 schools now.
Mm-hmm.
So I actually presented, but that's not going to be part of this conversation right now.
No.
I noticed that once we became the District 75, my schools have 2 or 3 sites co-located within the district. So instead of having just one school, I have 12, 15, and I have to do the walkthrough of those. And I will write down. When I came in, you were showing the process,
Yep.
and all the check marks and all these and all that, and I went to all my schools.
So let me stop you right there. Let me stop you
Mm-hmm.
right there. So the point of the D75 chair seat on the council was not for the D75 chair to only support or liaison with D75 schools. That defeats the purpose of being inclusive. That's not how it's supposed to be done, right? That's not what we should be doing. Like, you should not have 12 schools. What we do, and I'm going to use 16, and I know people like, well, 16 is the smallest district in the city. Yes, it is, and that's why we can do certain things, and we can be the model of how this should be done. So how we do it is any building that is co-located with a D75 school, whatever council member is assigned to the general education schools in that building is also responsible for the D75 school in that building. They meet with them, they collaborate with them, they work
Mm-hmm.
with them. And that's the way of that's how you are inclusive, so that the D75 member is seeing a different side of schools, and then we're seeing a different side of schools. So last year, and I'm going to stop because I'm going to rant about this. Last year, we did not have a D75 member. One of our members actually did have a son that was in District 75, but it was another district. So because they were in another district, we could not she could not be the representative, but that whole last year she mentored us. She talked to us about what we could expect or what we
I
should be
know who
looking
you're
for.
talking about.
Yeah, yeah. So it's really important that, and I know that Chrissy Angel on D75, and I know that Rima have been working with the Department of Education to come up with some structures around this, right? So
Mm-hmm.
it's the same way as the IEP rep. The IEP rep don't only support students with IEPs. The L rep don't only support students with as for English as a
This
second
language
language, right?
learners.
So it's really about the council's understanding that you are a part of the council and that you don't just represent one constituent of students. You represent all constituents of students,
So
and we should
let
be
me
working
let,
together.
so
But we
let
don't
me
want to.
tell you that actually I do understand that from the very beginning. I do believe, not that I believe, I know as a fact that that's exactly how it's supposed to be. I remember on my first term when I got elected, being the first ever being a D75 in the CECs, I was it.
Mhm.
And I said it in the beginning. So feel free to call me the
Yes.
bridge and the key for the entire District 75 programs co-located within this district. My intention is that it's not 36 schools, it's 43. There are 43 schools if we include the programs. And everybody wanted to have the 3 or 4 for each council member that they're gonna be the liaison for those schools, and they don't want nothing to do with the District 75.
So let me say this because this is being recorded, and I want to be mindful of that.
Mm-hmm.
Help is on the way to District 8. Help is definitely on the way to District
I
8.
appreciate that.
Help,
Well,
help.
Rima was part of mine, so
Yeah.
yeah.
Help is on the way to District 8. Please stay tuned. If you want to, we're going to set up some office hours because we did see some things raised on this call, and we want to be mindful that this is being recorded and it's being
Mm-hmm.
shared, and we don't want to put people out there. So
Okay.
yes, let's talk offline and let's figure out how could we work to support
Well,
you.
I do have the kit and how everything is supposed to be, blah blah blah, which I'm really happy to. But my question actually was, I know that I went on a tangent, and I apologize for that.
No apologies.
My question was, what do I do when I actually submit the report to AATR? We do not have an AA as yet. That's one of my biggest goals for this term. We need to hire an AA.
Mhm.
And I want that AA to send, not to rely on me to send the messages to the District 75 programs in the district, notification and here and there. Every single report, those 2 last pages in the book that say when you do the walkthrough, I submitted them. I don't know where they are. I don't know what happened to them. This is
So-
what I'm talking about.
So let me say this, and then we're gonna move on just so
Mhm.
that we can talk. When you don't have an AA, it is either the president's responsibility or the secretary of the council responsibility to make sure that the council is fully functioning until you have an AA. I have not had an AA for the last couple of years. I just think it's easy. It's my preference. I think it's easier for us not to have one. I don't want to be managing a unionized employee. That's just my feeling on it, right? And my
Yeah.
council has agreed with it. But we make sure that we are on top of it. We make sure that we are working as a collaborative team to make sure that documents are getting in and things are not. So
Not even
let's
the
talk.
resolutions, Mr. McLean. Not even the resolutions show up on the website. Nothing. Hey,
So
but
let's
anyway,
talk.
I'm
Yeah,
leaving it you as it is.
yeah,
Thank you.
yeah. Let's talk offline and we can figure out how to support you.
Thank you.
So I'm going to thank you all for coming. We're going to open it up. Oh, we got 1 minute, but we'll open it up for Camille. If you wanted to put the survey up, please take the survey. Please put the survey. Please take the survey. The survey is how we do better, right? Be honest, be brutal, say what it is, so that we can do this better. Our intent is to serve you. Our intent is to provide you parent to parent, right? We know it's good when the DOE does stuff, but it's really good when you hear from a parent with that experience. So please provide us with your feedback on how you like tonight's meeting, didn't like tonight's meeting, what you would want us to talk about, and give us recommendations. What are some we have a whole PD committee, right? We actually met last night to think about what professional learning opportunities we can give. So if you have something that's burning you or you think that you want us to help with, send us an email, let us know so that we could provide that for you. And once again, thank you for joining us tonight.